The war in heaven had ended, but the battle between good and evil was far from over. Cast out of heaven, Satan could no longer challenge the throne of God. Instead, he turned his attention to a newly created world, a world unlike any the universe had ever seen. It was a world of perfect beauty, perfect peace, and perfect innocence. This was the Garden of Eden. The book of Genesis tells us that in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. He spoke, and light pierced the darkness. He separated the waters from the sky, formed the dry land, and filled the earth with forests, rivers, mountains, and oceans. The sun ruled the day, the moon governed the night, the stars filled the heavens. Every living creature was created according to its kind, and God looked upon everything he had made and declared it very good. Then came the crowning act of creation. God formed man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. The man became a living being. His name was Adam. God planted a magnificent garden in Eden, a paradise overflowing with beauty beyond imagination. Crystal clear rivers flowed through the land. Towering trees stretched toward the heavens. Flowers covered the valleys. Animals lived together in perfect harmony. There was no pain, no fear, no death, only peace. But God saw that it was not good for man to be alone. While Adam slept, God took one of his ribs and fashioned a woman. When Adam saw her, he rejoiced. "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh." Her name was Eve. Together, they were given dominion over the earth. At the center of the garden stood two extraordinary trees, the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. God gave Adam and Eve complete freedom to enjoy the garden, but he gave them one command. You may freely eat from every tree of the garden, but from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for in the day you eat of it, you shall surely die. The command was simple. Love required a choice. Obedience could not exist without the possibility of disobedience. Watching from the shadows was the ancient serpent, Satan. Having failed to overthrow God's kingdom in heaven, he now sought to corrupt God's greatest earthly creation. He did not come with force. He came with deception. The serpent approached Eve. Did God really say you must not eat from every tree in the garden? Eve answered that they could eat from every tree except one. The serpent replied, "You will not surely die. For God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." Doubt entered where trust had once lived. The fruit appeared beautiful. It seemed desirable. The temptation became stronger than the command. Eve reached out. She took the fruit. She ate. Then she gave some to Adam. At that very moment, everything changed. Innocence was lost. Shame entered the human heart. Fear replaced peace. For the first time, humanity hid from the presence of God. When God walked through the garden, Adam and Eve concealed themselves among the trees. "Where are you?" God called. It was not because God did not know their location. It was an invitation for humanity to come before him. The consequences of sin were profound. The ground would now produce thorns. Pain and hardship entered the human experience. Death became part of the world. Adam and Eve were driven from the Garden of Eden. Yet even in judgment, hope remained. God spoke of a future descendant who would one day crush the serpent's head, though he himself would be wounded. For Christians, this is understood as the first promise of redemption, a hope ultimately fulfilled in Jesus Christ. The gates of Eden were closed, but God's plan to redeem humanity had only just begun. The story was far from over. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this documentary, subscribe to Forgotten Codex and join us for episode 3.